mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so wide and nerdy. Think I'm just too wide and nerdy. Think I'm just too wide and nerdy.
I have a confession to make. I am an avid mountain unicyclist. Yes, you heard it right. Picture a mountain bike and then divide by 2. You get the picture. Yes, it's a real sport. There are hundreds of us just in California. But being an avid rider doesn't equate to being accomplished. While I'm able to ride a wide array of terrain competently, I'm not satisfied with my level of accomplishment. I want to get better. In fact, I'm driven to improve. And that drive to excel is something I want to think about carefully. So I'll return to that idea in a moment. But first, a little more on the actual riding. Riding on level sections is the easiest. It's not too tough to maintain enough momentum to roll through rock gardens and other sorts of obstacles. Riding downhill sections, so long as they aren't outrageously steep, is probably the next easiest to tackle. Gravity gives the rider a boost that helps the wheel roll over rocks and roots. And the occasional step downs and drops add a little excitement to the ride. That leaves the uphill sections. These are tough. I'm able to climb quite a lot of terrain. This section at the bottom of Upper Bidwell Park's North Rim Trail, for instance, is at the limits of my ability. I can roll my way nearly up and over the ridge, but usually have to hop a little at the top to navigate some rocks. In other spots, those same step downs that are fun to descend become big obstacles when heading the other direction on the trail. It's this navigating of difficult areas, called technical sections by those in the Muni, or mountain unicycling, community, that's captured my learning. I already knew how to hop on my unicycle from way back in the mid-1970s when I learned to ride. But hopping in place is much different than trying to hop up a rock-strewn shelf that's set right between where I am and where I want to go. So what to do? In simple terms, practice. But it's not so simple, really. If I practice by myself, I might miraculously succeed and suddenly be able to traverse any technical uphill that I face, but I'm doubtful of such a planned success. Instead, what has actually helped me make some progress amounts to simple practice, but within a context that's much more complex. I rarely practice by myself, you see. There are a few other Chico area riders, and I'm usually out with them. The social element of riding is important. We push each other to excel and improve, and praise each other's accomplishments. We call some as-yet unrideable parts of the trails we ride whales, after Moby Dick, the white whale that Captain Ahab was obsessed with conquering. And we spend significant time trying to master those whales, those difficult technical sections, each time we ride. If we continue to fail, we'll go to a larger community for help. In this case, that larger community is an online one, the unicyclist.com discussion fora, where I may post a question about how to complete a particular move. Usually within hours, if not a shorter period, I'll have several responses from others who unicycle off-road. Their advice is usually helpful, if peppered with some vocabulary that needs a little interpretation. For instance, I once posted a question about the feeling that my tire was sliding out from under me when I was trying to hop sideways up an incline. The responses suggested I might, quote, consider upgrading to a KH, K1, or LM, and then slap on a Gaz. These referred to specific types of rims and tires other riders had tested and recommended for a more stable wheel. My fellow riders and I will often discuss such advice on our rides and use the information on our next attempts at those whales. So the simple practice notion of learning isn't so straightforward after all. It happens best, learning that is, when there's a real problem, like that whale section of the trail. And when the learner is operating within what James G. calls an affinity group, a group of others who engage in similar practices and who may share problems akin to one's own. That group likely has experiences, ideas, and language that separate it from other groups, but which allow it to operate successfully by passing along knowledge and advice to others who care to learn it. And this, it seems to me, is the crux of this learning issue. As an educator, I care about how learning happens. When I think about my own ferocious engagement with learning out on the Muni trails, I want to see the same motivation in not just my own students, but students across age divides and disciplinary boundaries. The challenge facing me and others who teach is how to provide a structure for learning within which students become part of affinity groups, willingly learn new concepts, master bewildering jargon, and address authentic problems. I have no doubt that such a task will be fraught with obstacles and challenges, but I also have no doubt that success is possible.